may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
As Sao Paulo struggled to dig out after last week's devastating earthquake,
I'm just praying. I'm just praying and helping.
one group was left with no one to care for them.
There is nowhere for these homeless dogs to go. There is no food to give them. There is no clean water. These dogs are going to starve to death.
I have to do the humane thing. I have to put these dogs down.
O'Brady Shaw is the only journalist compassionate enough to do what has to be done.
Put down 50 or 60 dogs today. I didn't want to.
Let me help you!
But their fate would have been much worse if I hadn't done it.
It's better this way.
O'Brady Shaw goes where other reporters won't and does the jobs other reporters can't.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Gut Check with O'Brady Shaw. Live from Sao Paulo. Tomorrow night, only on the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. We are a live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. The telephone number for you to do so is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Normally at this point in the program, I go, in the studio tonight, it's myself, and then the other guy goes, it's me, and then the other guy goes, it's me. However, we have with us today the infamous Ian Freeman.
The founder
of Free Talk
the
Live.
crypto criminal, the crypto genius.
Late last night, I got pinged during the show, as a matter of fact, like towards the end of the show, we're going to get him right now. And I was already doing other things, and I'm like, and plus it's a half hour for me to get down here to join up with them to ride out there and that kind of thing. So a bunch of people went out to greet you.
Yeah, it was very nice.
There was some video.
Joe from
Breaking the
Flaw was live streaming.
And, there was a sort of a little 15-second, 20-second video like thing of just you like coming out the door and hugging Bonnie, and it was just really nice. That was also posted
and then immediately up. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you're like, let's get out of this place. And I'm like, I think everybody watching that video was giving a round of applause. And there were, of course, some people who aren't able to see the normal social medias that are, like Aria, for example, the co-host here, she can't be on Telegram. So I uploaded it to the Facebook. Cool. And so folks to our amplifiers page. Yep. So our amplifiers were able to see it. So it is. So Conan is here as well, as is the norm for a Tuesday night. Aria is not here for the reason that your conditions say that you can't, be in the same place as her?
Her conditions and my conditions, as I understand it, both have all of the co-defendants in the Crypto 6 trial are not allowed to talk to one another. So the prosecutors are allowed to talk to one another, but we're not allowed to talk to one another.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
That makes things difficult, not only, of course, for the show, but just even
very difficult,
even like for what your attorneys, right, and putting together a defense and that kind of thing.
The attorneys can talk to one another,
right? But like getting you guys all in the same room, right?
Yeah, I guess they can't do that.
Yeah,
is this typical?
As I understand it, it actually is.
It's a kangaroo court.
It's pretty crazy. Well, so far this judge has been better than the previous one.
LaPlante.
Yeah, that had denied me bail completely.
Yeah.
Although I'm completely, restricted in quite a few ways. I cannot touch a computer basically unless there's some sort of monitoring software on it, and we haven't had a chance to set anything like that up yet. I don't know if I want to put that on the studio computer because other people use that computer. So
Right.
it's a mess.
You're on lockdown. You got to wear a stupid bracelet that you have to pay for. Actually,
That's right. 100.
Before we get too deep into all that, welcome back, Ian.
Hey.
Thanks.
Great
It's
to
good
be
to
here.
have you back on your own frickin' show after I'm calling it 70 days.
Almost.
Somebody called because it was technically Tuesday when you got out.
Correct.
And it was Tuesday the 16th when the terrorists busted into the place and took you guys away.
I got out at like 11:30 Monday, so it's 16. Let's call it 69 days.
Ooh, 69.
All right, I'm good with that.
It's the longest time I've ever spent behind bars for my entire life. I spent 58 days for a misdemeanor conviction when I stood in front of the police cruiser back during Derek J's victimless crime spree.
Yeah.
That was a 90-day sentence, but in New Hampshire, what they call good time rule. I mean, if you're good while you're in jail, you get out after, I think it's 66% or 60%, something like that. So 2/3. That's a 2/3 rule. So the 90 days was commuted to 60, and the jailer back then decided to let me out 2 days early because there was going to be which was interesting because at the time we were having like jail release parties where a bunch of people would come, like way more than what came last night because we would know when somebody's getting out of jail previously if they were there on a sentence. So a bunch of people would come and welcome the person out of jail. Whether it was Derek J or whoever it might have been, Adam Kokesh had this happen to him here as well. And
there likely would have been more had there been some way of knowing in advance when you were actually going to be released.
And that's the thing. What happened a decade ago was, I was supposed to get out after 60 days on a 90-day sentence for the civil disobedience. And so the jail superintendent, he knows who we are and he knows what we were going to do. So he decided he has like some sort of small amount of leeway, right? Like his job is if the judge says you got to keep this person this long, you got to keep them that long, right?
Yeah.
That's what the statutes say. That's what you got to do. But he apparently, as the jail superintendent, does have some wiggle room in there, like of a few days. So he decided on day 58, all right, you're out. So he just cut me out the door basically, and no one knew that was going to happen. So however many people were going to come out on day 60, all of a sudden I'm out on day 58. Call your ride.
Did you walk home that day?
No, I called. No, I got a ride from the jail to the bus station.
It's not that far down the road.
Yeah.
Did a release party happen 2 days later?
I don't remember. Probably. This is a decade ago.
Yeah. I just want everyone listening to be aware that while Ian was behind bars, in other words, held hostage, he has not been convicted of anything. This whole premise of innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that if listening to the locals, listen to them talk about Mr. Freeman.
There have been articles in the Sentinel, and I'm sorry, the Sentinel, and what's the other one? The Boston one?
The Globe?
The union leader here.
The union loser. Yes, thank you. A couple of articles, and like one of them's a little more fair than the other, but the articles that have come out, particularly in the Sentinel, have not been flattering, as you are well aware.
I don't know. I haven't read them.
So. Well, no, I mean just your experience with the Sentinel.
Okay.
Over time, and they're not very kind to the libertarians and freaky and that kind of a thing. So
yeah, I mean, well, people who support the status quo are likely not to be kind to those who, like us, want to change things.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, when you want to see change like that happen, the people who are part of the status quo are likely to lash out and use violence to try to stop it
and defend their system, the system that they've grown to love.
Yeah. What do you see as sort of like the most difficult part of your restrictions?
Well, given that I haven't even been out for 24 hours yet, it's, you're asking me to predict what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Doing this job of this Free Talk Live ministry for the Shire Free Church is a very technical aspect. There's a lot to it. And as you've been learning the hard way, you're in the sink or swim.
I've been tossed into the deep end of the pool.
And so, I have to, well, when I was in jail, I was trying to instruct you on things over the phone, which is challenging. So it's a little easier to instruct you in real life on, okay, here's what you can do, because I can't use the computer.
Right.
There's a restriction on that. And so, my day previously was in front of a computer screen, basically. Right. And so now I don't have that. And that's going to be very different.
Well, I'd like everybody to know that we're doing our part in keeping you employed by having you sit in tonight on the show.
Hey, thanks.
So, trying to help you out.
I can get some sort of monitoring software, apparently, which you also have to pay for. So they've got the ankle monitor keeping me in the homestead here. Yeah. Home, you want to call it house arrest or whatever, home detention or something like that. So that's going to be a challenge. I can get the probation officer, even though it's not probation, it's pretrial. Right. But the probation officer, I can tell him, okay, well, I'm going to go to the grocery store on Saturday at 2:00, and he'll likely approve that. So I can leave with pre-approval.
Well, what about like all of the church's sort of like regular stuff that goes on? Like, well, there's Pork Fest and Fork Fest.
Yeah, I'm not going to likely be going to that
every year, but there's other things too that, like some of the meetups and that type of thing. Like you can't do any transactions, but that's still
the other thing. No crypto.
That's still a part of the ministry.
All I can do is wear a Bitcoin T-shirt now. I can't actually use crypto.
603-283-6160. Do you want to ask Ian Freeman anything? Give us a call. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen to Free Talk Live. Yeah, you can have your calls, your opinions broadcast to something like 200 radio stations, as well as a couple of satellite channels and the internet globally. If you dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We've got some calls on hold, and we will get to those in just a moment. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Ian.
And Conan.
And let's just do what we do and go right to your calls. We have Thaddeus calling from Kentucky. Thaddeus, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hello. Glad you're out, Ian. I've been following your campaign a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
Good news. Today, a very dear friend of mine, a blues player from Georgia, told me about a book called The Technological Society. It was written in 1954 by a Frenchman named Jacques Ellul, E-L-L-U-L. And I have listened to a little bit of it, and it's pretty dark stuff, but he was prophetic in talking about the dangers of technology.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously technology is a double-edged sword, right? So, I mean, technology is wonderful in so many ways and also dangerous and, in the wrong hands.
What was it about the book that you wanted to talk about? Anything in particular?
Well, I just wanted to bring it to people's attention. He is known as an anarchist, and he was something kind of strange for his time. He was a Christian anarchist.
Okay.
But it breaks things down. And, I have to admit it was a little bit scary what I heard about it, because he was so prophetic in 1954 about what's going on. And the Crypto 6 are dealing with technological issues. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
And you haven't been charged with anything.
I've been charged with a ton of things. There are 20 counts in the case. I don't know if all of the counts are against me specifically, but the majority of them certainly are. And they would like to put me in prison for the rest of my life, from what I can tell.
For, mind you, never harming anybody.
That's correct. Yeah, the prosecution even admitted that I was not involved in any of the Bitcoin fraud online that they were trying to paint me with early on. They've admitted that I was actually not a part of the fraud. But yep, no victims.
Man, oh man.
Welcome to the state, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the call, Thaddeus. We appreciate it. This book that Thaddeus mentions does have over 4.5, at 4.5 stars on ye old Amazon, so it might be worth a look. Let's move right along to Clamoring, calling from Planet Earth. Clamoring, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys. First of all, I just want to say, Ian, it's so great to just see your face. I'm so happy that you're out finally.
You actually wouldn't have seen it last night when he came,
had a big beard.
Came out of that prison with a damn like they dug him out of a hole or something. They were getting ready.
Just out of curiosity, did you just not shave?
I did not shave at any point.
It was your captive beard.
Correct.
Okay.
But
and I did see the video of Ian's release.
So I did still have the beard at that point. But it's important to point out that that nobody, who is our co-host and is also still inside that jail. So as I understand it, there may have been just today a filing in court to try to get him another bail hearing.
Clamoring, are you up on that? Are you?
Yeah, I just talked to his lawyer today, and there was a motion to get him out on bail, and I don't think there's been a ruling on that, but I can't imagine that he wouldn't be released at this point.
Yeah, I would expect that he should be. From what I understand of what my attorney has said, 'cause all of us have different attorneys.
Right.
That's one of the things that you're supposed to do in this case because of conflict of interest or whatever.
You can't have the same attorney literally or legally anyway.
Yeah. And so the thing that my attorney had said was that essentially they have to let somebody out who's not an actual like menace to society. That's not the legal standard or whatever, but it's sort of similar to that. And basically that the magistrate, who is essentially not a judge but looks like a judge.
What did they call you, a criminal kingpin or something? Or
allegedly a sophisticated cyber criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of curious, Ian, what your bail restrictions were. Like, can you talk to the other co-defendants?
No.
Is that?
Nope. None of the co-defendants can speak to one another. And I have an additional list of people, including Mark Edgington, Mark Edge, our co-host, the founding co-host of Free Talk Live, who I've worked with.
You can't talk to Mark?
Correct.
That's correct. Melanie.
There's also some former co-hosts you can't talk to. Daryl Perry, for example.
Who also was a co-founder of Sharp Free Church, so that may be a factor there. A whole list of people. Michael Hampton, also sometime co-host, behind-the-scenes technical guru here on the show. So they're doing everything that they can, it seems, to break up Free Talk Live. And we're going to likely challenge some of these things, but the whole point was, look, you just got to agree to whatever they say to get out of jail. So presuming that I can abide by these various conditions, then there may be a chance to sort of remove some of them over time. That's the hope. So I can't get on a computer without it being monitored. I can't do crypto transactions. I mean, my life is nothing like what it was before, and I can't talk to some of my best friends.
Yeah, and your friends miss you.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate you.
Did you have
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, I'd
like to encourage people to write to nobody, because even though he's filed the necessary paperwork, I filed mine on April 9th, and it took 6 weeks or whatever, to finally actually get out. So is it going to happen for him this week? I wouldn't expect it. They got to schedule a hearing, and then, they got to have the hearing, and then they got to, there's going to be objections, and who knows how long it's going to take. So if you haven't written to nobody yet,
you can find that at thecrypto6.com. There's information.
The address is there and that sort of thing. Send him a book, send him a letter, and I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Clamoring. We appreciate it. I don't envy the challenges that you face personally, and also I don't appreciate the position that the state has put this particular show in.
Yeah.
As a result of all of these things, and we're going to get through it. I don't care what the state does.
As long as they don't burn the house down, next time
they raid the place.
Yeah.
We are, of course, working on, building up our, what we call disaster recovery. That's what it's known in the rest of the world. Disaster recovery is what we're working on. So, hopefully we can get over those types of humps in the future. So 603-283-6160 is the phone number. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Wattner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Wattner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in to Free Talk Live. Do you want to be heard? Do you want to voice your opinions about the state of society, the state of the world, the state of governments, the state of your life? Well, you can do so.
While you still can.
Yeah. Well, before they make it illegal. 603-283-6160 is the phone number here in the studio if you'd like to join us. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And it's Ian.
And Conan.
And let's talk about, now I have to ask, can you talk about Bitcoin?
Sure. I love Bitcoin, cryptocurrency.
I asked.
I'm wearing a T-shirt. I'm wearing a Bitcoin T-shirt today.
I just,
like I said earlier, it's all I can do. I can't use a Bitcoin wallet now because of the bail conditions.
I want to talk about a couple of things that Conan brought in, but I noticed this article the other day. A Domino's pizza chain is offering salary in Bitcoin. Now,
Wow.
it's a Dutch Domino's, and this says part of their salary. So this is a different article than the original one I read. It's just the one that I brought up. But I thought it was interesting that Domino's is a pretty big company,
Sure.
and they're owned by, I don't remember who they're owned by. They're owned by something. Like
Well, there's a lot of
Pepsi or
franchise
something.
stores.
Right.
I don't know if there are corporate Domino's, if there's like some corporate, some franchise. I'm not sure how it all breaks down. I know the one here in town is a franchise.
But this is from moneycontrol.com. Dutch Domino's pizza chain offers part of salary in Bitcoin. The company can only pay a part of the salary in Bitcoin as Dutch law mandates the minimum wage be given in euros.
Boo.
So apparently anything over the minimum wage, they can pay in Bitcoin, according to this anyway.
Huh.
Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
On May 22nd, 2010, software developer Laszlo Hanyeks paid 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Bitcoin Pizza Day this weekend or
I
whatever.
actually bought a Little Zoe's pizza and brought it in, even though
Nice.
Mark was broadcasting remotely.
Mhm.
The folks who live here and myself enjoyed some pizza actually bought with Bitcoin
Sweet.
on the pizza day.
What company was it? Bitcoin Pizza Day. That was a Papa John's pizza. They were actually taking.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
The actual franchise Papa John's took it, or someone bought a pizza and then resold
That's
it.
right.
Right. There was a guy who was like a driver or somebody who worked at one of these at the Papa John's. He accepted the 10,000 Bitcoins and then bought the pizza.
Yeah, it was like
for
2
USD.
pizzas, I believe it was.
Because I'm like, who back in 2010 was
No
taking
businesses
Bitcoin?
were-
Yeah,
yeah.
no one was taking it.
Yeah.
Right. So
These were 2 fanatics,
But-
two people who were interested in Bitcoin.
But now you have this probably a franchise who is offering to pay their employees in it, and that's quite a decade change right there.
That is amazing.
Well,
yeah.
we've seen some of this too. There have been, I know before the events of March 16th, we covered some articles about
That's the raid, is what you're referring to.
the terrorist attack
Mhm.
is what I like to refer to it as. There was mention of like a football player asking
Right.
for his. Since that happened, there have been several other football players who have been able to achieve the same thing. Some other sports people, people in the media, NFTs are blowing up.
Non-fungible tokens.
Yeah, and like, as far as like artists are concerned,
Mhm.
right? These are and then of course
Well, the
Elon
football
Musk,
player, before you go on, the guy that you're talking about, wasn't his name Russell something?
Russell Okung. Yeah.
So after he started taking Bitcoin as his, I think it was half his paycheck or something like that.
Yes.
He then became the #1 best paid football player, not by dollar salary, but because he held, presuming he held the Bitcoin.
Yep.
The Bitcoin that he got went up in value so much from the beginning of the year to whenever it was.
Yep.
Now I understand it's had a dip recently, but nonetheless, it's still way up compared to what it was a year ago. And so factoring in the amount that it rose, he's like, I'd never heard of the guy's name. I mean, I don't follow sports or anything like that, but he was no Joe Montana, right? Like he wasn't the most renowned player. He was
an offensive lineman, and they're generally not the stars and that kind of. I mean, he was a pretty high paid guy already, but
now money wise, compared to his cohorts, he's doing much better. And so
He
of course people are
certainly
going to
is.
come on board. They're seeing those dollars, those monies.
And then of course you've got good old Elon, doing his thing.
He bailed, didn't he? I heard that he bailed out and quit doing Bitcoin.
He is sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what he's doing? I think he's trying to manipulate the market so that he can screw around with people
Cash
and buy dips and whatnot.
Could be.
And then, of course, his appearance on Saturday Night Live, he straight up came out and says, "Oh, by the way," after everything was over, he said, "Oh, by the way, Dogecoin, it's a scam."
What?
After he'd been pumping it all week long.
Mm-hmm.
No, the thing with Bitcoin is he said that Tesla would accept Bitcoin,
right,
for sales
of their product.
And this was after Tesla purchased a bunch of Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then he came out like a week ago and he's like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, we're not going to get any more. We're not going to buy any more because of the environmental factors."
I heard about that.
Right, and they're also not going to accept Bitcoin as payment for their cars.
I think that no. I think that they will.
No.
As far as and you know what, that takes me to what a lot of these big companies are doing, like PayPal, for example. They'll accept Bitcoin, but they don't give it back to you because it's a store. It's a store of value that they've come to the conclusion that this is an incredible store of value, and they're going to keep it because it's power.
For the same reasons that you cited is the same reason that he cited for no longer taking Bitcoin to buy the Tesla motor vehicles, is because he's concerned about the environmental impact of the mining.
Screw him. He is sketchy. He is so sketchy.
When Elon Musk doesn't apparently take into consideration the environmental impact of what it takes to manufacture a frickin' automobile.
How much electricity is it taking for
the
his
electricity,
tweet?
The fossil fuels that he burns, and just the materials to manufacture his cars.
What about just Twitter? What about his tweet that he tweeted out? Well, how much power is it taking to run that? Everyone in the world opening that up and looking at that tweet. How much power is that consuming?
And how about the electricity to run the cars later on?
That's right. Oh, and the disposal of the batteries once they die.
They don't get disposed. They get stacked up somewhere in a desert. And
That's what I mean.
It's probably a mountain. There's probably a pyramid of them somewhere that he's
it's a huge
out there in the
environmental
mountain.
concern.
I mean, it sounds to me like he hasn't. And again, maybe you're right, Conan. He's just playing people, right? Like he wants to buy the dip, and personally wants to get a good deal on some more Bitcoin before the price goes up again. But I don't know. It's hard to say, and he certainly did good things for Bitcoin initially. And Bitcoin's bigger than this guy. He can say what he wants at this point, and it's not going to bring Bitcoin down. I don't think.
No, and in fact, the recent dip is more blamed on the Chinese cracking down on mining and banning.
Again?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. The most recent dip.
Yeah.
They've put in some more, and so a bunch of Chinese miners have gone offline and this kind of a thing. So, but Elon Musk is sitting up there in his ivory tower thinking it was all his tweet that's bringing it down. And I'm like, no.
But that's the thing. Everybody likes to point to one thing. Bitcoin's doing this because of this. And I don't think you can say that about Bitcoin. I mean, there's definitely correlations, but that's not causation.
Right. And if you look at the percentages of the previous dips, this particular dip, while it looks bigger because of the amount of dollars that appear in the chart,
statistically,
it's not even the worst dip that Bitcoin has ever had.
You know what? I don't even know that this is the dip. I thought, because I didn't think it was coming till the fall. If you look at the chart, if you look at the history, it shouldn't have come till this fall. I think this is a pre-dip. But I'm still buying. I got it at 35, and I missed that 30,000 dip. That got all the way down to 30,000. Now it's back up to 38.
I got a little at 32. Nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I was sleeping.
I was just like, I don't think I'm ever going to see Bitcoin at 32,000 again. So I'm like, all right, I'll throw $5 at it or whatever.
Yeah, who knows?
603-283-6160 is how you can get your voice on Free Talk Live. Coming up, we're going to talk about some strange things that are afoot at Bull Moose.
Bull Moose? What's that?
Moose? I don't know. Isn't that like Bullwinkle and Rocky?
Sounds like it.
More Free Talk Live on the way.
Are you a sneezer? If you're not, can you get close to one? I don't literally mean someone sneezing. Sneezer, as defined by marketing guru Seth Godin, is an opinion leader. When a sneezer mentions something, other people catch what Godin calls the idea virus. Seth Godin says some people are more likely to tell their friends about a great new idea. So identifying and courting sneezers is a key success factor for idea merchants. His book, Unleashing the Idea Virus, is the most downloaded ebook in history, and you can download the whole book free. That's how he's making his idea contagious. Click tips, tricks, and other stuff to help you cut through the clutter at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Free Talk Live.
But we have the opportunity. No one has the opportunity.
Look, just hold on. Just because the slaves can pick the head slave doesn't mean that the slaves are free.
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Look, if people actually got up and voted for things, there might actually be some change.
People do actually get up and vote for things, and a change always results in the same crap.
What are you going to do that's different by voting?
Two choices between crap sandwiches, man.
You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. On the one hand, you're saying, oh, hardly anybody votes, so you can barely say this is a person of right. And then I said, well, gosh, if people get up and vote, maybe things will change.
Hold on, that was only one thing he brought up.
Here's what I mean.
When people do vote, it doesn't make any difference because of a number of reasons.
People never vote in numbers that could actually reflect what
Why should I vote for any of these thugs? They're killers. They're murderers.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves. You can talk about anything that's on your mind. We're talking about, like last segment, we talked about Bitcoin a bunch and that kind of a thing. We've been talking about Ian. We've been talking about the Crypto 6, but you can change the subject. Talk about whatever's on your mind. If you like the subject and you have comments, far out, solid, and right on, give us a call. 603-283-6160 is the number. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
And speaking of Bitcoin, Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now. Click on Get Started right at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information that is neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this insanely important and world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user already, please check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit bitcoin.com. All right, so we mentioned at the end of the last segment what is a bull moose? And then furthermore, what strange things might be afoot at the bull moose, Conan?
Well, a bull moose here in New England, I think that's pretty much all the states that they inhabit. It's basically an entertainment media store. They focus on, movies, books,
it's
CDs.
a physical media store.
And also a lot of retro stuff that you're not going to get anywhere else, especially vinyl.
They sell LPs, yeah.
Yeah, and old video games and stuff. In fact, I've only been in hours right here in Keene one time, and basically it was just to see how it reminded me of the good old days. But basically,
I couldn't believe they opened it. It actually replaced here in Keene a longtime video store, like a rental store, massive.
Wow.
They called it Video Headquarters, and it lasted longer than Blockbuster did. They finally went out of business. What was it, like 2016 or something like that? And then I couldn't believe
who is gonna shop at this place?
Who's gonna? Right. Why would you want to open this? Because who's gonna shop there? Apparently, they're still in business, so people are shopping.
I tell you what, I have about four. I have 3 customers in the town that I deliver, just north of us, and I swear one guy's getting a vinyl. He's getting a stack of vinyl sometimes, but he's getting vinyl from all over the world delivered to him every single day. I don't even know where he's storing all these. I think I've delivered a vinyl record to him every single day of this year.
Amazing.
And a couple other customers who get them, and I'm like, does it sound that much better? Because that's the whole thing.
It's like
It's got the sound, it's got the scratch, it's got the wobble, it's got that tone that you're not going to get anywhere else. And I think there's some proof to this that the current producers of music these days have basically created a sound. It sounds digital. It sounds studio.
Yeah. Well, the digital domain captures exactly what is given to it, whereas the analog domain colors the sound a little bit at each stage of the recording production.
Mm-hmm. And you are a pro at this sort of thing. You went to school for it,
I did
right?
go to school for audio engineering, and in fact, I learned analog technology mostly. When I went was in the early 90s, 92, 93.
Yeah, there wasn't much for digital back then.
Well, the digital domain was coming on, but it was mostly used for like mastering, and they didn't invent non-destructive editing yet. So if you edited something and hit save, it would do the thing you instructed it to do, and it would take like overnight. Right, to make like an edit on a master, you have the whole thing, the whole song is done, and you're like, I want to cut out that one chorus. Well, you could do that. You could find the one chorus and just cut it out, make the song shorter, make it radio friendly or whatever, that kind of a thing. And then you'd hit save, and then you'd come back the next day and hope that it was done. And sometimes it wasn't, because this was known as destructive editing in the digital domain, and there was no undo at that time either. So
times have changed.
Oh, yeah.
These kids don't know the pain.
But now
of making a mixtape on a cassette player.
Right. But now the digital domain has gone so far as to emulate all of these analog things, so you can actually get what they call an analog tape simulator as an effect or a plug-in that you can apply to your own recordings when you're doing multi-track recordings.
It is a good quality. Can you tell?
I mean, it acts like you can crank it up to where you can hear all the crackles and everything that you would hear if you were to drop a needle on a record player.
Right.
So,
well, that's what a bull moose is. It's basically an entertainment store. They're all over New England, and I don't know how far out they spread. But before we get into this actual article, there is an issue taking place in this country right now, where you have a lot of these youngsters, these Zoomers and young millennials getting out of college, getting out of school. They're going out to the workforce, and they're immediately trying to change everything. They're going to their boss and being, what do you mean you don't have a diversity training group? What do you mean? What do you mean? There's no 3 bathrooms? One for the 2 genders and all the other genders. I mean, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? And then they get on the Twitter and they get on the TikTok and they get on their groups and they complain and they start rocking the boat. And then what happens? These employers, they give up, they give in. All the time. You can see it happening. Every other news story is where some employer has decided to take the Indian off of their butter box, or to take the take the black girl off of their syrup container.
Aunt Jemima.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on here?
Uncle Ben.
Mrs. Butterworth is pretty happy about that, though. No word from Mr. Butterworth yet, though.
Well, And so this is a sad state of affairs where basically I see a bunch of young kids and some older woke individuals who are basically rewriting history.
Yeah.
Eskimo pies. That's another one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And I find it bothersome. But every now and then, and this article is going to prove it, an employer will fight back. He'll strike back. Here in New Hampshire, one of our bull mooses in Salem, basically multiple former employees of the Bull Moose store in Salem, New Hampshire say the entire staff was terminated this week.
Mass firing?
Following a dispute over the store's changing mask policy.
Oh.
Bull Moose is a retail chain in Maine and New Hampshire that sells music, movies, and video games in a variety of formats, as well as books and gifts. On Saturday, former employee Andrew Bove posted on Twitter, quote, Bull Moose has fired the entire staff of the Salem location because we disagreed with their decision to end the store's mask mandate in spite of there being a continuing pandemic.
Hold on now. Are you sure? Wait. Are you sure they fired the whole staff or closed the store? The way I heard is I had a radio in my cell in jail, so I was able to hear like the mainstream
Because you're
news.
a big Boston Red Sox fan.
No. But I was able to listen to, the top of the hour news. And so I heard some of the local New Hampshire news. I was listening to the station WEMJ that carries us in Laconia. And they were reporting on this story. And the way they reported it was that the store itself is actually being closed. Not that they just blew the whole staff out. They had supposedly denied that it had anything to do with the mask mandate. They're saying, we're closing the store.
Well, here's the actual tweet from the store management. Quote, we are sad to announce that we have temporarily closed our Salem store.
Oh, temporary.
We are not able to share the reasons behind our decision regarding the Salem store, as it is important to us to protect the confidentiality of our former employees.
Interesting.
We can, however, say we are confident this decision was in the best interest of our customers, employees, and business as a whole. We can also say emphatically that this decision has absolutely nothing to do with masks or face coverings for employees or customers. The decision in itself is heartbreaking, but we stand by it as the correct course of action to move the business forward for the community. We apologize to the greater Salem community for closing temporarily, and we will reopen the store as soon as we can with as many of the people as we can. So I guess they've offered to rehire some of them back, but they also call them former employees.
Wow.
We sincerely hope that you remain our customers. Now, I actually saw some video. WMUR actually had some video of this.
That's Boston television, or
no, it's Manchester.
Manchester.
And the two employees they had on there, you could tell they were woke, young, colorful hair, piercings, tattoos, and whatnot.
Probably moved here from Massachusetts.
They claimed that it was because they were questioning the new mask policy, which is, if you hadn't noticed, a lot of the country are waking back up, at least the ones that are on the right side of history, in my opinion. They're saying, you know what? It's over. Take the stupid masks off. You don't have to wear them in our stores anymore. Go ahead. And Bull Moose did that, and their silly employees didn't like that, and they decided to complain about it.
And now they're jobless.
Yep.
Former employees.
Good luck.
603-283-6160. Have you been fired because you didn't like the masks? More Free Talk Live coming up.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A call for change. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 1 year after the death of George Floyd, his family was at the White House to discuss police reform.
The family sat for more than an hour with President Biden and Vice President Harris, with George Floyd's brother Rodney saying they showed concern for the family's well-being.
Are we taking care of ourselves, healthy counseling, and actually it's all about how we feeling and what's going on about today about our brother.
The president says he's ready to sign police reform in Floyd's name. Nephew Brandon Williams said the president was adamant.
He wants to make sure that it's the right bill and not a rush bill.
Congress remains at odds on the legislation with qualified immunity for individual officers separating the sides. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
After the meeting, the White House put out a statement reading in part, "We face an inflection point. The battle for the soul of America has been a constant push and pull between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart." This morning in Minneapolis, Floyd was honored with a moment of silence. Former officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder last month in Floyd's death. 3 other former officers have had their state trial delayed. They will first be tried on federal civil rights violations. A vote expected soon in the Senate on a commission that would look into the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's needed because Republicans continue to claim that the November election was stolen and that the Capitol attack was peaceful protests that got out of hand.
We all know what it was. It was an attack on our democracy. And this commission is needed to get the truth of how it happened.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the ongoing investigations from Congress and the Justice Department are sufficient. On Wall Street, stocks gave up an early gain to end lower. The Dow lost 81, the Nasdaq off 4 points, the S&P minus 8 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
The U.S. military continues its drawdown of troops from Afghanistan.
The U.S. military has completed nearly 25% of its withdrawal from Afghanistan ahead of the September 11th deadline. That's according to a new report from U.S. Central Command. It's not only Afghanistan where forces are on the move. U.S. Air Forces in Europe announced Tuesday nuclear-capable B-52 bombers flew over the Black Sea for, quote, target training. And Russia announced it deployed 3 long-range nuclear-capable supersonic backfire bombers to Syria for the first time. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
The state of Ohio and the U.S. Census Bureau have asked a judge to put on hold their court battle over when data for redrawing congressional and legislative districts will be released. As part of the settlement agreement, the Census Bureau agreed to release the data no later than August 16th. Ohio will drop the suit once the data is released. The state had sued the Commerce Secretary earlier this year, claiming it couldn't meet the deadline to release redistricting data by the March 31st deadline due to delays brought on by the pandemic. One day after issuing a warning against Americans traveling to the Olympics in Tokyo, the Biden administration tells Reuters the U.S. position on the games hasn't changed.
A State Department spokesperson said President Biden supports the U.S. athletes who have trained for these games and will be competing in the best traditions of the Olympic spirit. The senior Biden administration official who spoke to Reuters said the government of Japan has stressed that public health remains the central priority as they plan to.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
To help you understand how dangerous narcotics operations have persisted despite decades of bold efforts to completely mishandle the problem, we now present The Onion Explains, the drug trade. The cartels remain as powerful as ever. Experts say that the only solution is to eliminate the demand for illegal drugs by instead getting buzzed on common household products, like cough syrup. Not only do items such as nail polish remover and model glue get you ripped if you really breathe that in, they also help shrink the market for cartel drugs. Cartels would stand to lose billions if even a third of the people using their cocaine or methamphetamine instead huffed Freon, which will knock you right on your ass just as quickly. It's easy to get by cracking open an air conditioner. If enough people realize that keyboard cleaner will put you in a insane trance and that it's just sitting there right now in your desk drawer, the costly war on drugs could very well end tomorrow.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. What day is it? Is it Tuesday?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Conan, you're Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday? I know we had you on a different day for a minute, too.
You screwed up my whole week last week. I didn't know where I was.
Nice.
But now I do. Now I'm back in reality. Tuesdays. And pretty soon it's going to be Topless Tuesdays because it's getting warm out there. It's getting hot.
Right. Let's get banned from some video services.
It is Free Talk Live. If you would like to join us in this ongoing conversation that we have 7 nights a week between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern, you can call 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Ian.
And Conan.
I just want to say again, it's nice to have you back in the
Nice
studio.
having you back, Ian.
Thanks, dudes.
Yeah,
really wish you didn't cut the beard, at least for a couple of days. That was epic. That was your freedom fighting beard, man. It's like they pulled
ass beard, man.
It's like the soldiers pulled you out of a hole somewhere. You'd been locked up, hiding underground, eating tarantulas for a whole 6 months.
Like, I know how old you are, but like it didn't show in the beard. You had the beard of a younger man.
It had some white hairs in it.
Not much though. You know what I mean? Just a couple here and there. It wasn't like, mine's all.
But now we got to get you.
Getting pretty
we got to get the rest cropped because you're little.
That's coming next. Bonnie's going to take care of that.
You're not balanced.
Yeah.
I thought you were going for cornrows or something.
That is the thing they do in jail. Usually on women, though, I think.
Oh, all right. Speaking of Ian Freeman, on March 16th of 2021, terrorists calling themselves government agencies conspired together and raided the Free Talk Live studio, the Bitcoin Embassy, the homes of Ari DeMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. 6 people were arrested. We refer to these people as the Crypto 6. They were all kidnapped, taken into custody, put behind bars, whatever you want to call it. Up until yesterday, Ian Freeman and Nobody both remained in custody. Nobody is still in custody, and we had an update a little earlier in the show. If you missed it, check out the rebroadcast or listen to the show again over at freetalklive.com about a half hour after we're done with this program. What can you do to help the Crypto Six? Well, visit thecrypto6.com. There's a bunch of information and links up there. There's multiple ways in which you can donate to the Legal Defense Fund because the charges these people face are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal teams and many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. I'm going to have to revise that.
Yeah, thanks to whoever it is that's being, helping out there in whatever way they possibly can. I know whoever it is that's behind that website, and somebody's making T-shirts, and Dave Ridley is out walking across New Hampshire for most of a month.
I'm sorry, you mean Bitcoin Gandhi.
Bitcoin Gandhi, that's right.
BitcoinGandhi.net.
Amazing. He looks incredible.
He's giving updates on the Telegram channels, on the Crypto Six Telegram channels in full character.
Amazing.
He's maintained full character the entire time. I assume that he doesn't talk to himself in the but maybe he does.
He might.
I don't know, but it is an amazing feat of activism, in my opinion. I can't say enough about him. He calls in from time to time and gives us updates here on Free Talk Live when he's in an area
in character,
completely in character. In fact, he has a sort of a reinvented name for myself. Because I have such a long, the Lord, Doctor, Reverend, Captain, all that kind of stuff. When he calls in, he goes, "Hello, Mr. Ass."
Yeah, his brother actually called in last week, and believe it or not, he sounds normal.
How about that?
Gandhi has a brother?
He does.
Oh, Gandhi. Bitcoin Gandhi. Oh, sorry. I was like, just Gandhi.
I actually just started the book that I was reading. Read a lot of books when I was in jail. Lots of them. Thank you to everybody that sent books in. Fiction, nonfiction. Nonfiction, I think, was more, the most interesting and useful, but I enjoyed the fiction as well that folks sent. And the book I was reading right before I got out, had just started it, was a Gandhi book about his form of civil disobedience and non-cooperation, which he called Satyagraha. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it also means sort of like soul force, as he called it, or love force. The idea that you don't use violence against your quote-unquote enemies, that you show them that, that forgiveness and love and understanding as much as you possibly can. And by no means am I through the book, but it's certainly something that many of us here have studied over time generally and have tried to put into effect, because it's easy to get mad when people are attacking you and destroying your life and arresting your friends and your family members and threatening them with years in behind bars. But it's hard to remember that those are just they're people. And they maybe they were hurt at some point, or for whatever reason they're lashing out, and they made choices that you didn't make in life, and they're where they're at, and they're doing what they're doing, and it's difficult to not take it personally and to to engage in forgiveness and then be willing to be seen under their whatever the punishments are, and suffer for the purpose of hopefully changing hearts and minds, not just hearts and minds of people who are observing, but the hearts and minds of the oppressor, of the people who are doing the oppressing. It's no easy task.
I was told along those lines that apparently nobody who was able to get the yard time or whatever they call it, that he had a bit of a band of followers for philosophy and that kind of thing. Like while he's in there, he's doing exactly that. He's, trying to reach out to people who are incarcerated for whatever reasons and get them along the lines of the philosophies of freedom.
Well, that's good, because one of the things that nobody and I had disagreed on a number of times before the arrests was how to respond to the violence of the state.
Right.
And I don't think he's changed his perspective on that. I would like to hear that he has in that case. But, Gandhi was a believer in nonviolence and a believer in peaceful action. And violence does beget violence, and violence, represses. Even if in the moment it appears to stop a thing, like there's defensive violence, which I'm fine with, but to just go out and attack the state agents or something, I'm against that. And when you attack a thing, when you use violence as your tool to try to change things, you may succeed for a moment or some amount of time in suppressing whatever the other side is, but it's likely that they will just redouble their efforts and get, even angrier and then come back at you. And that's what we see with like the Republicans and Democrats, constantly going back and forth and attacking each other.
Blowback.
Yeah. It never stops. The cycle just keeps on going. Someone has to break that cycle, and that's what Gandhi, I think, was trying to do.
Well, and like the things that
I support that.
The things that I enjoy about this particular program, even before I made the move to New Hampshire, was that this program was about peace, prosperity, love. Those types of things were frequently espoused on this program.
Yeah.
And so, that was a draw for me. And, we have this peace sign flag hanging up here in the back of the studio for those watching on the cameras. And it was kind of down for a while, and I noticed that it was down, and after they took you guys away, I was like, no, we're going to make sure that thing's up every day, because that is something that I think a lot of folks have yet to take to heart, which is philosophies of peace versus the philosophies of freedom. So I appreciate what you have to say.
Yeah, this is all good, and I think that most human beings are capable of learning from these good, these loving your neighbor types.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got that 3%. You have those psychopaths who are just not wired. They're on another level.
Well,
and you can't fix them.
A man that's truly free isn't a pushover. A man that's truly free is a dangerous man who is in control of what he does and his own actions. That's my opinion. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live on the way.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight. This is Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Ian.
And Conan.
Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. That's Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. Visit freedomsphoenix.com. All right, so we kind of got off track with a bunch of stuff, but we were discussing bull moose and some employees that got fired, apparently.
This is a media store. They sell physical media.
They have, I just pulled up the Wikipedia on it. They've been around since 1989. They were founded by Brett Wickard, however you want to pronounce that. They're headquartered in Portland, Maine, and they have 11 locations. So they're a small...
It's New England, North New England, I think.
Maine and New Hampshire.
Right. So they're 11 locations is a small chain.
Yep.
But it's still a chain nonetheless.
The way that I read this, and I've looked up a couple of different articles to try to get some different angles, and the employees think that they were fired because they were questioning the new mask policy that went into effect yesterday, or would have gone into effect if the store hadn't closed on Friday.
Does the article mention what the old policy was and then the new policy? What?
No, it doesn't, but I'm assuming it's like every other store where customers and employees all have to be masked up and practice social distancing if possible.
Right.
Now, the two individuals that I saw on WMUR last night, that was their idea. The reasonings behind their firing was because they were questioning and rocking the boat,
throwing a tantrum,
throwing a little tantrum. And if someone comes without a mask, can I push them off to the next cashier? And and it seems that they have a company email. kind of a group chat kind of a thing. And
Sure.
I haven't experienced this. I don't know if any of you guys have been in a company big enough where they actually have these huge company-wide group emails where people get in there and they start throwing things around. They start complaining about...
Sounds awful.
They start complaining about Freaky Friday dress-up day or something like that because it's racist for some reason, because everything is racist these days. I haven't experienced them, so I don't know what's going on. Obviously, they have one of these. And I'm thinking management got a good idea what was going to take place from all of these angry texts and emails back and forth and group chats, because they swear up and down the Twitter on their Twitter post that it wasn't about the masks. So what was it about? Why did they fire 20 employees?
It's a good question.
Why did they close the store? Maybe we'll talk about my ideas and what really happened here.
We will, but first let's go to the phones. We've got Ingrid calling from, I forget, Ingrid, where are you calling from?
Maryland.
Maryland, thank you. And what's on your mind tonight, Ingrid?
Court listener, and I wanted to tell you that since I know that you're black from the internet. So I was looking at court listener, since you know I'm involved with the Christopher Canwell case, and when you were named as an interested party for his case, then the next I found out about it, and I posted about it on Facebook, and then the next day that's when you were busted by the FBI, but I don't think it's anything involved with that.
When you say it was known as an interested party, what is that referring to? I'm not sure what that means.
That you got like a financial interest in like Canwell stuff.
I don't have any. I don't even know what that means.
I know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. I just posted about it. At the
So
time,
this was, hold on, just to follow what you're saying here. This is news to me, Ingrid. You're saying that after Christopher Cantwell, a former co-host here who we actually had to fire because he became a racist years ago, and that's, without recapping all of the history, but Chris Cantwell, who was sentenced to several years in prison for having a Telegram chat with another racist online, a ridiculous case. He was definitely a political prisoner. I mean, I don't support what he said, but I don't think he should have been put in prison over it. Are you saying that after he was sentenced in January of this year, that they then subsequently named me as some sort of interested financial interest?
Yes, they named her as an interested party, and I posted it on Facebook. And then the next day, that's when the Crypto 6 got busted by the FBI.
Wow.
And that's no lie, because Melanie and I think maybe one other person commented the thread.
Huh.
Because I was just joking at the time about the Pokemon coins.
I have no idea what that could even mean. I mean,
yeah, just
unaware
really
of any
weird.
of that.
And just on a brief note, Chris is currently in Mississippi, so and he's very happy that you got it out, Ian. So,
cool.
All right, take care.
Send him my best. Thank you,
Thanks for the
Ingrid.
call,
I have
Ingrid.
no idea what the financial interest in Christopher Cantwell. Does that mean that I had his wallet here at the house because
you did help clean his house out?
I helped clean his house out. Yeah, and that cost me 4 days of my life.
So no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Apparently, the prophecy fulfills itself.
I don't know what that's supposed to
weird.
mean. Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any finances at the end.
yeah.
I mean, he owed his attorney money.
Right.
He had a civil case, and he couldn't afford to pay his attorney for that. I went and helped clean his house out, and we shipped some of the stuff down to Ingrid. That's his girlfriend, or was, or whatever. I don't know what their current status is,
Sure.
but I don't get it. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't like. She's trying to tie that to somehow the day of the raid, and I don't know that those things have anything to do with each other.
With Chris Cantwell is that I care about him. I think he's a tortured soul who I love him, as a minister of peace, and I want to express that compassion towards him. That's my relationship with Christopher Cantwell.
Right. Yeah, like any other minister would have.
Yeah.
Right, with a part of their congregation or whatever. Right. Yeah, it's
Weird.
interesting that she somehow feels that that's connected to the Crypto 6.
Who knows?
In some way. That day, is still. I mean, I can't believe it's been 70 days. It's still crisp, I'm sure, in your mind as well as everybody else surrounding, anything to do with this show or, your acquaintances and the acquaintances of the other 5 people are still shaken. I know I was talking to Colleen not too long ago, and she's like, I now understand what like people feel like when they get violated in other ways, like by a rapist or something like that. She's like, because, you keep playing it over in your mind and, it keeps coming back to you and all this kind of thing. And I just, for our listeners out there, there is no victim in any of this that I can see. I don't see any victim. And so if there's no victim...
You mean in the Crypto 6 case?
In the Crypto 6 case, yes, thank you. In the Crypto 6 case, I see no victim at all. And in fact, I see people interacting voluntarily of their own volition all the way across the board. So it doesn't make any sense to me. The law used to maintain some semblance of, hey, look, if no persons or property were harmed, then there was no crime. That obviously is not the case today. 603-283-6160. More of your calls and Free Talk Live is on the way.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Come on and tune in to Free Talk Live. Yeah, you can have your voice heard on hundreds of radio stations, the internet globally, and even some satellite channels if you dial 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 is the number for you to call. We've got a call standing by. We'll get to that momentarily. In the studio tonight, I'm your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
it's Ian.
And Conan.
And Conan, I do want to hear about your thoughts on the Bull Moose situation with their employees. But we've got TJ the Spy holding. TJ, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
It's good to be with you. And Ian, I hope you're walking the straight and narrow. And hey, thankful that you're out now.
Thanks, TJ. It was nice getting a letter from you in jail.
Well, I tried my best. I can answer Ingrid's question. You were named as an interested party in the Cantwell case because you refused to wear a mask. And so that's what that whole interested party, if you Google your name on Court Listener, it'll pull up that case, and that's what that is about.
So she had her timing
in the Cantwell case.
So she had her timing off. She was saying that she had posted about my supposed interested party status in March of this year. So months after I had actually tried to attend the trial, and then I just with the studio happened to get raided. So she was connecting one to the next, which probably one didn't have anything to do with the other.
It probably is just a simple, coincidence. But, I don't know if it feels good to be out of jail having to, submit to all their conditions. And poor Matt had to surrender all his guns, I heard. So it's like...
No, he had to remove the guns. He actually didn't have to surrender them because...
Did he get them back yet?
They never took them from him.
Right. He was able to just relocate them.
Yeah.
They're in foster care currently.
Well, I do have some good news. I have a Bitcoin mascot from Mascot Makers in London. They make these wonderful mascots, but it's a giant Bitcoin mascot. It says "Government money sucks," and so that'll be coming to the trial. I'll be attending the trial. I won't be able to get into the court, but it definitely has the giant, jumbo hand gloves, and
amazing.
I think you'll like it. Bonnie has a picture of it.
Oh, that is so cool.
Wait, describe this thing. You say a mascot, but what? Does it look like a Bitcoin?
Like you're talking about giant foam boots, giant foam hands. It's a giant Bitcoin that says, government money sucks, in Bitcoin we trust. And that's a giant Bitcoin logo and some eyes and a hat. And
you've seen this thing online already, Conan. You've seen the Bitcoin guy.
Yeah.
It's a round golden coin with the giant B logo, a couple of eyes and the squiggly arms and the squiggly legs with the white shoes.
And are you going to be wearing this thing?
Yep, sure
awesome.
am.
That's amazing.
Well, let's hope the trials are during winter.
Let's hope we don't have a trial and they drop all the charges.
Yeah. Even better. And then you could still wear it though, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to ship in a few weeks. I mean, they're busy making it right now. I mean, they said it was going to take 6 weeks to make it, and I said, go ahead, and if it increases the chance of an acquittal or them dropping the charges by 5 or 10%, I figure it was worth it.
Well, so, you may be backed up by Bitcoin Gandhi on the scene as well. We may have a whole whole crew.
It'll be like the Super Friends, except different.
That's
TJ,
amazing.
Are you going to I understand that you're explaining this mascot that you're making to be, sort of for the trial, the Crypto 6, all that kind of thing. But it seems to me that you could probably be this mascot at some other types of gatherings around,
Yeah, at least the next Halloween.
If I had Roger Ver level money, I would have had several, like a Monero mascot and a Dash mascot, and the cryptocurrencies could get into a little tussle in front of the courthouse. But I have a limited budget, so I just said, well, let's make the Bitcoin mascot, and he can hand out literature, hold signs across the street. I scoped out the courthouse, and there's a 2-hour parking right across the street at the cafe. So if I am on a trailer or on a camper van or whatever, the feds can't touch us there because that's off the courthouse property.
Right.
Amazing.
That's amazing. What else can you tell us? Anything?
we're probably it's going to be about 6 months, but the stuff that got stolen from the first FBI raid back in 2016 will be coming back to us soon. I won't say more than that, but we'll be getting it back in about 6 months.
Amazing.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear you're getting it back, but 2016, really?
That's the government for you.
Better late than never.
I guess.
Hey, thanks for your expertise, and that's really cool about the Bitcoin guy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Bitcoin mascot, yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks for the call, TJ.
I love that guy.
Yeah, TJ. The mascot thing just has me cracking up inside already because I just imagine what it's going to look like when he shows up at a scene. I don't even, he could just show up at like a random a flea market or something wearing that thing. And if he's handing out pamphlets or something, I mean, that's good for,
make a tour of the Federal Reserve headquarters.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Jump into a van and drive all around and,
sure.
Videotape yourself and get a following, get a little YouTube thing going on or whatever. That'd be fun. Or a library thing.
That might be a thing that people would donate towards. I mean, he was talking about a limited budget, but I don't know who's in charge of the Crypto 6 website. I have no idea, but that might be something that they might want to, put some contribution towards.
Yeah. I think that it's really not. There's nobody really in charge of it.
Okay.
There's
somebody's taking
of
donations.
People, no. As far as like the donations are all dialed into it, but as far as the site is concerned, you want to make a change to the site.
Yeah,
it's kind of been somewhat crowdsourced.
Good.
There is a certain person that has credentials to go make a change. So I'll point you in that direction off air, of course.
Okay.
You probably already know who it is, but outside of that, it's been really a community effort.
Great.
Which has really been a heartwarming thing. Like all this crap that's been going, surrounding the Crypto 6, it's all been horrible. But the outpour of support, not only people who, helped create the website, the people who've donated, the listeners and all that kind of thing, but the community has come together in a way that is really heartwarming to see. So, unfortunately,
too bad it had to take,
it takes this
government
kind of
raids.
It takes terrorists destroying property for victimless crimes for that to occur, but at least it does occur, and that makes me feel positive about humanity in general. So,
yeah.
All right.
Bull
Moose, Conan.
Bull Moose. The big question of the evening is, why did they fire 20 employees? Why did they close their store?
Temporarily,
Temporarily. They say they're going to reopen with maybe some of the previous employees. Why do they do this? Some of the employees think it's because they were upset about their new mask policy, which was going to allow us lepers back into the store and not be masked up.
How many companies are changing their policy? Because what we're seeing happen in the news, at least I've heard, that states, even Massachusetts, at the end of this month is wiping away all their mandates. Massachusetts.
Well, the Keene mandate is set to expire on June 1st.
Okay, so a lot of these things are coming down within the next week. But how many stores are going to keep their current rules? That's my question, independently.
It's a real good question. I know that some stores that open up, like, for example, Tractor Supply, where I shop frequently or used to, they were one of the first stores to actually implement a mask policy in this area before the state had said anything. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not shopping with you guys anymore.
But that's the way it should have been.
But they've already lifted theirs last week, so I was able to go in there and give some of my money to them because they weren't being idiots anymore.
I live a little bit outside of Keene where the statewide mandate has been lifted, and so it's not required, particularly where I grocery shop, and everybody's still masked.
Yeah,
everybody.
I still see them on motorcycles. I still see them on bicycles.
There's a
runners down dirt paths with masks on. It's like it hasn't stopped. But your question is which stores are going to
what percentage?
Get rid of this? It depends on it. It's basically at this moment in time, it's politics.
Yeah.
How do they vote? If they voted for Trump, they're going to lift their mask.
What
mandates.
do their customers think? Because some people are going to pander if they feel like most of their customers are the fraidy cat types. Then they're going to pander to them.
I'm surprised Bull Moose was one of the first to lift their mandate because I thought they might lean a certain way because of their customer base.
I don't think we'll start to see real progress with people demasking until employees stop wearing the mask. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Did you know that you're listening to Free Talk Live?
What?
I know. It's a pretty cool live call-in radio talk program where you can call, talk about anything that's on your mind.
I really enjoyed listening the few times I was able in jail.
When you weren't otherwise listening to the Boston Red Sox?
I wasn't listening to the Red Sox, but that's what they had on the air every other night.
Like, how do they? I mean,
so this was community radio. You had to fight around with other people.
No, we broadcast. There's the Pulse of New Hampshire, which is a 3-station simulcast or trimulcast in 3 different cities in New Hampshire.
Trimulcast.
One of those stations.
So the radio was set to one station.
No. In jail, you can get a little radio. You pay $20 to the commissary, you get a radio, and then you can listen to whatever stations can make it through the concrete walls. And this transmitter's near enough to where, if you've got the radio in the right place, there's certain places where there's dead spots, but most
did
of
you
my
have
stuff.
to go old school and get like some tin foil? No? Okay.
No.
All right.
But I was able to listen, but unfortunately, the cross we bear being a nighttime show is on stations that have sports.
Right.
We get preempted.
Yeah, so what he's trying to say is he was in the broadcast area.
Good.
That's correct.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad it was a comfortable 69 days.
Well, I only got to listen probably 4 out of this.
I'm surprised you
days.
I know what I would be doing. I'd be just doing I'd be exercising all day.
I didn't do exercises all day, but I did do exercise and read a lot of books.
And didn't they you were walking around and doing your mantras and didn't they put you in medical because they thought you were you thought that they thought you were crazy or something?
I don't know what they thought, but probably not that many people do walking meditations and mantras at the while they're in jail. Usually they're screaming about something or yelling in some way, banging on a door.
So your behavior was not that of the average everyday
criminal.
It was probably atypical, I would guess. Yeah,
that's great to hear. Actually, yeah.
I got out of medical after 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
They claimed when they were taking me there, I asked them about it.
Yeah.
And they'll lie if they need to, but they claimed that we're out of room in processing, so we will take you to the medical bay.
Yeah, you were in isolation the whole time too, right?
23-hour lockdown, yeah.
Because you wouldn't wear a mask and go to
Again, they didn't say that. But presumably most of the time, so in the jails in New Hampshire, and I don't know if it's the same way in other states, but due to COVID, they're quarantining people who come into the jail for 14 days.
Wow.
So interestingly, if you are, let's say you're put in jail, and this happened to one of the guys that was in the block that I was on for the most of the time that I was there.
Yeah.
This young guy was in there. Most of the court hearings are happening via Zoom or whatever,
right.
WebEx. But for whatever reason, he was called physically to court. Well, he'd already gone through the 14-day quarantine. Well, guess what happened when he came back into jail?
Another 14 days?
Another 14-day quarantine.
Right. Oh, God.
So anyway, they put me in the 23-hour lockdown, presumably because I have a medical exemption to wearing masks, and so therefore...
Did they insist on seeing that exemption?
Well, I didn't have it with me, but I told him my doctor's name.
Yeah.
If they wanted to call him.
What was the jail's policy on vaccinations?
They were offering them, actually.
How many people were jumping at the opportunity?
Hard to say. Obviously, I didn't get statistics from the jail, but it seemed like at least half.
I don't remember if we covered it or not, but there was some jails that were offering reduced time if you got the shot.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that is happening across the country. There are municipalities who are doing just that to incentivize the jab.
Well,
or a lottery and or donuts.
I've heard of all those things.
I mean, even here in our station, all the radio stations have like drawings, whatnot.
Some sort of incentive. Yeah.
You show your vaccine profile pic.
Yeah.
Share it on our Facebook page, and we'll put you in the drawing for this lottery or whatnot.
Yeah, like Ohio's doing $1 million a day for 5 days,
paid for by the federal government. Money.
Oh yeah,
boon.
we're paying. Oh, well, we're not paying for it.
I mean,
but our grandchildren are.
And something else that
no, you're paying for it. They're printing it out.
Well, I mean, but I'm not going to pay it back.
Well, yeah, but they're taking it out of your savings if you have any savings.
Yeah, or they're printing it out of thin
That's what they're
air,
doing.
Right? Yeah.
They're inflating the money supply.
Yeah. I mean, we know that more than 20% of the United States dollars, USD as we refer to them, or dirty war money,
was printed last year.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Yeah, more than 20%.
Depends who you ask. Some people have said more. Yeah, like 30.
Yeah, but more than everybody agrees that's more than 20, or at least 20, if not more. So 1/5, if not 1/4, of all the dollars in existence, and that
includes the digital.
Yes,
know. credit card money and loans and things like that.
Right. Now, we haven't yet felt the effect of that. The effect of that.
Oh, yeah, we
little,
have. Have you seen the price of GPUs?
I'm just saying.
Have you seen the price of lumber?
It's not getting any better. People think, lumber went up a little bit. The price of my chicken went up a little bit. They're saying that like people at the grocery store who eat meat have been most affected. So far. But no, this is not an ending thing. This is going to continue for our listeners out there who are not aware of what happens when you start chugging away at the money printer going brrr, right? What happens is the dollars that you currently have become worth less and less, and the result that you see is that everything costs more dollars to acquire. This is called inflation. When it happens really fast, it's called hyperinflation.
Yep.
And we haven't seen the end of it yet. In fact, it's only going to get worse because the Federal Reserve and the United States government cannot stop doing it.
I think they want to break it. This is all about the Build Back Better plan. This is to get everyone in their pockets, to get control of everything. They have to break the system first. This is boot camp.
They want to scare people out of cryptocurrency as well. So look at the Crypto 6 case. Look at also, I heard another headline recently that Biden IRS, they're cracking down even harder than they ever have. They now have questions on tax forms about
every news station is reporting on the environmental effects of mining and of processing transactions. You can run a whole country off the energy it costs to run Bitcoin. So there's absolutely scaremongering is going on, and you got Tesla, you got Elon. What the hell is he doing, this scammer? Yeah. I mean, is he trying to support the system, or is he trying to do his own dirty work?
Knows?
And then something that Arya has pointed out that has really sort of hit home to me is the discrepancy between the people collecting the unemployment with the bonuses and the COVID money on top of the stimulus package and all that, and that there's a whole bunch of people who are hiring for jobs that they can't fill because you got a bunch of people making more money or as much money.
There's no incentive to go back to work. I mean, what are you going to make, another $100?
And people say things like, well, then they just need to pay more to hire people.
And
the difference between the government and a private business is that the business must first earn the money before they can pay a higher wage, whereas the government can just print it out of thin frickin' air and hand it to people.
Absolutely.
Which is exactly. So now you've created a competition that doesn't exist in the natural market.
I heard on one of the local morning shows on the local station I was listening to, they interviewed a chef out of California. Now, it's California, okay? So
it's already on its way down.
It probably doesn't compare to where you live, but the dude said he was paying upwards of $25 an hour for a dishwasher position.
I don't dispute that. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. The West Coast is... It's one of those places where they really get it first with the way they're set up, right? With whatever the government policies, whatever you want to call them, we call them the left coast. Handouts, all that kind of thing. Plus
subsidies.
Yeah. Plus, with the way the West Coast has boomed as a result of technology, right, adds to all of that, right? Because now all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of people making, greater, or you did at least coming into it, right? The dawn of the internet and all the .coms and all that got all these areas like Seattle and San Francisco to boom. And so now you had a concentration of people who were making more money on their salaries that you don't have in other places. That contributes to it as well.
Right.
So it's just a big mess. If you're in either of those places, and I lived in Seattle for 22 years, and I do not regret my decision to come to New Hampshire in any way, shape, or form. My life has transformed in so many ways that I can't even begin.
Don't move here if you're going to bring your bad policies with you. Otherwise, you're welcome. Of course, I don't know if you're going to be able to buy anything because there's nothing available.
Yeah,
the houses are being built. That's one thing. When I first moved here, nothing new is being built. A company might put a new gas station up or something here and there, but as far as like homes, single family homes, nothing was being built.
Yeah.
Now in the area where I deliver, there are a dozen homes, brand spanking new homes that are being built as we speak, and they're all out-of-staters who've moved in from wherever. And considering the price of lumber, not only did they buy real estate that was already above and beyond, but now they're building homes that are above and beyond. So people are hurting out there.
More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com. There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A call for change. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. 1 year after the death of George Floyd, his family was at the White House to discuss police reform.
The family sat for more than an hour with President Biden and Vice President Harris, with George Floyd's brother Rodney saying they showed concern for the family's well-being.
Are we taking care of ourselves, healthy counseling, and actually it's all about how we feeling and what's going on about today about our brother.
The president says he's ready to sign police reform in Floyd's name. Nephew Brandon Williams said the president was adamant.
He wants to make sure that it's the right bill and not a rush bill.
Congress remains at odds on the legislation, with qualified immunity for individual officers separating the sides. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
After the meeting, the White House put out a statement reading in part, "We face an inflection point. The battle for the soul of America has been a constant push and pull between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart." This morning in Minneapolis, Floyd was honored with a moment of silence. Former officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder last month in Floyd's death. 3 other former officers have had their state trial delayed. They will first be tried on federal civil rights violations. A vote expected soon in the Senate on a commission that would look into the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it's needed because Republicans continue to claim that the November election was stolen and that the Capitol attack was peaceful protests that got out of hand.
We all know what it was. It was an attack on our democracy. And this commission is needed to get the truth of how it happened.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell says the ongoing investigations from Congress and the Justice Department are sufficient. On Wall Street, stocks gave up an early gain to end lower. The Dow lost 81. The Nasdaq off 4 points. The S&P minus 8 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview. All on Indeed. Get your quality shortlist of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description faster. Only pay for the candidates that meet must-have qualifications. According to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Fox. Indeed.com/Fox. Offer valid through June 30th. Terms and conditions apply.
The U.S. military continues its drawdown of troops from Afghanistan.
The U.S. military has completed nearly 25% of its withdrawal from Afghanistan ahead of the September 11th deadline. That's according to a new report from U.S. Central Command. It's not only Afghanistan where forces are on the move. U.S. Air Forces in Europe announced Tuesday nuclear-capable B-52 bombers flew over the Black Sea for, quote, target training. And Russia announced it deployed 3 long-range nuclear-capable supersonic backfire bombers to Syria for the first time. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
The state of Ohio and the U.S. Census Bureau have asked a judge to put on hold their court battle over when data for redrawing congressional and legislative districts will be released. As part of the settlement agreement, the Census Bureau agreed to release the data no later than August 16th. Ohio will drop the suit once the data is released. The state had sued the Commerce Secretary earlier this year, claiming it couldn't meet the deadline to release redistricting data by the March 31st deadline due to delays brought on by the pandemic. One day after issuing a warning against Americans traveling to the Olympics in Tokyo, the Biden administration tells Reuters the U.S. position on the games hasn't changed.
A State Department spokesperson said President Biden supports the U.S. athletes who have trained for these games and will be competing in the best traditions of the Olympic spirit. The senior Biden administration official who spoke to Reuters said the government of Japan has stressed that public health remains the central priority as they plan to.
On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
U.S. presidents often take credit for solving complex issues with many moving parts, whether they deserve that credit or not. But how much impact can a sitting president really have on the tides? We all know that presidents like to take credit for the undulations of the briny deep, when it suits them, that is, and we Americans are quick to blame whoever is in power for the multitudinous seas. During Eisenhower's administration in the 1950s, citizens took to the streets to protest his inability to harness the unruly waves, but Ike shifted blame for the tides that year onto a heron that had recently been born with a raven's head. But the truth is, when a president is in office, there's only so much he can do. Sure, the president can bring an amulet with the Eye of Horus to the top of the tallest peak, or spread lamb's blood on the base of an elm tree during a lunar eclipse. In reality, it's hard for anyone to know with true certainty how the tides will play out under any administration. For The Onion, I'm Eliza Hayes.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Hour number 3 is underway here at Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join us, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
And it's Conan. We lost Ian. He's getting a haircut finally. I think he got enough flack from you guys in the comments. Give him a hard time over his hair. He just got out of jail, man. Leave the guy alone. He's finally getting his hair. He's been talking to people and doing, making up for lost time, being in jail for 69 days. He's finally he's put his foot down. He's going to take care of that Weird Al Yankovic mop on his head, and hopefully he comes back down. And Bonnie does a good job. I think she's got skills.
Yeah, he was abducted, but like in a good way.
Yes, a good way. This is yes. Every man out there would be very happy to
be abducted in the same way.
To be welcomed back into the life and abducted once again, as you put it, in a good way.
Speaking of which, on March 16th of 2021, I call these people terrorists. you might know them as government agencies. They conspired and got together and raided the Free Talk Live studio where we're at currently. They raided the Bitcoin embassy. They raided the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Renee and Andy Spinella, and Colleen Fordham. They also raided the Mighty Moose Mart. It's a freaking convenience store, a small one at that. So at any rate, 6 people were arrested. We call these people the Crypto Six. They were otherwise kidnapped, as you might call it, taken into custody. Ian Freeman just got out of jail yesterday after nearly 70 days. And nobody, the person named Nobody, formerly Rich Paul, is still in custody. What can you do to help? Well, you can visit thecrypto6.com. There's multiple ways where you can donate to their legal defense fund because these charges are not a joke. It's going to take some serious legal teams, and it's going to take many experts to protect the Crypto Six from further aggression from the state for activities that don't seem to have a victim. This case is very likely to set precedent that will affect the world of cryptocurrency for decades to come. You can help them in their fight for liberty and financial freedom by visiting thecrypto6.com. Again, thecrypto6.com. All right. Conan, are we done with Bull Moose?
Yeah, I never did get to the point, though.
Well, get to your point. Then we're not done.
Okay, so why did they fire these employees? Here's what I think. I had to go to another outlet, Boston.com, and they say, hey, check it out. By the way, the employees were having conversations with the labor union, a labor union, and a labor attorney about their rights that they said were being violated by this company, by this new policy. And so you had the 3. The company says it wasn't about masks, and it could have been about these angry back and forths between the employees and the employers. And I don't know about you, but if I'm in New Hampshire and I can fire you for any reason, and I have some punk ass kid coming at me, giving me grief every single day, not doing his job, complaining about everything, guess what?
Yeah, you're fired.
You're fired. Or was this?
You got to hold your thumb up a little bit when you say that.
Or is that the firing pin on the grenade, or the red button?
Isn't it the Trump thing when he was on the show?
Never seen it.
He was on some show.
Yeah, he was on the Boss or something.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the show.
You're hired. You're fired.
Yeah, he was always firing people. You're fired.
I think that this was an attempt by management, by the company as a whole, to send a message to other woke ass kids out there at other bull mooses, and that if you attempt to start a union to cause problems for us, this is how we're gonna handle you. This is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna fire the whole damn lot of you. I think this was a message.
It's interesting to me that they would do so in a market where,
everyone's hurting.
Restaurants having a hard time hiring enough people to come and work and that kind of a thing.
When we opened up on this, the big question was, how does a store like this even run?
Right.
I mean, I sell a lot of this stuff. I mean, but I deliver, and of course I sell books online.
Right.
So this, by the way, Bull Moose they compete with me. But how does a store like this stay in business? Maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe this store was failing. Maybe the store expects to receive some kind of subsidy, some kind of COVID subsidy or something, if they can prove that they don't have enough employees to run the place. Maybe there's something that we don't know that we're not going to find out about for a week or two, or ever.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect we probably won't.
But if it was in fact to stand up to these kids, then I hope we see more of this. I hope we see more employers out there who say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not going to be bossed around by my damn employees. Customer comes first. You need to get out there, get on the front lines. You need to serve your damn customers, sell them some product. Otherwise, no, we're not doing this. We're not playing this game because there are too many companies out there that are being taken to task by these woke people who are trying to rewrite history. They're trying to rewrite all the policy, the whole countrywide policy.
It's so disturbing to me to hear the term woke.
You think it's a good term, but no, not anymore. It's not.
Coming from being a statist and then figuring out that, oh, I'm not a statist, to me, that has always been referred to as like an awakening or waking up, that type of thing.
Use red-pilled.
I was red-pilled, yes, correct. But then, you know, a group of those people woke up. Right now, they were never referred to as woke, but it disturbs me to hear the term woke referring to people who are certainly not that. They have not been awakened and enlightened. They certainly have very little comprehension of basic economics. They have probably zero exposure to the philosophies of freedom.
It's ironic that the word that you both you and I
feel it's been co-opted. Yeah,
I agree, and it's a sad thing. But you know what? So has the term liberal, which we are not classical liberals, but I think that we are true liberals.
Yeah,
to a certain degree.
Classical liberal would be
a small, really like
pretty close
police station, maybe some military, and
a little minarchist,
and the court system. Yeah, that's a classical liberal. But yeah, I think the term, you're right. It's been co-opted. It's been stolen. You know what? Just let it go.
Yeah, I know.
Let it go and use red pilled or use awakened, or
I don't like. I still use. I try to refer to myself as an individualist or a voluntarist.
Yeah, wokes are not individualists. I'll tell you that right now. They are definitely a collective.
But I also still use the term anarchist from time to time because it's not my fault people don't know what the real definition of that word is.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the guy who knows the real definition. Y'all think it means something else.
Yeah, they think it means Mad Max. I think it means, Thunderdome.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love those movies. Those movies are great. I love a post-apocalyptic movie, particularly the Mad Max series. They're great, man.
They're fun. It's good fun.
But they are entertainment. To me, they're just comic books on the screen.
Yeah, let's make Mad Max fiction again.
Right.
You've seen that meme, make 1984 fiction again.
Yes.
And some people are actually reading it like it's an instruction manual.
Have you seen this one? It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And it's a picture of her. And I think it's a picture of her actually before she got into politics. She was a bartender at some point.
Yeah.
And so it's a picture of her. And it's got the big logo with the acronym MABA. MABA instead of MAGA for Trump was which America stands, great again.
Which stands
they
for
had MABA, make Alexandria bartend again.
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think she's got her foot in the door.
Oh, yeah.
She has too many supporters. She's going to get reelected.
Is she a billionaire yet?
Not yet.
I mean, I know she was only making whatever kind of public salary, but you know how it goes. These people get into politics, and all of a sudden they're millionaires.
Once she gets Pelosi out of the way, and she can start, making more command decisions that support her and her peoples. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it in the cards.
603-283-6160.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
When we start the segment, we say, this is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever you want. Open phones. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number. Again, 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
And Conan.
What are we talking about, Conan?
We were talking about companies dropping mask mandates, which, by the way, I have a list. Walmart, Target, Costco, Starbucks, Home Depot.
Now, are they dropping it for the customers or for the employees?
Everyone who has been vaccinated. Hold on. None of them can ask you if you've been vaccinated. So there you are. You were talking about the two groups. It's really, no one's really talking about the COVID, those who have suffered from the illness and have developed antibodies. That is not being spoken about anywhere because the science, because trust it and all, says that you don't need to get the vaccine if you've had the illness. You're good. You're covered. I don't know, but I've heard of too many people who have had it and decided to get the vaccine anyways. Well, and by the way, those are usually the ones who get sick.
Yeah, I've heard some exactly that, but I've also heard some, and I haven't heard it a lot, and it's been a while since I heard it, but they were saying that people who got COVID and recovered, which is more than 99% of the people who got it, by the way.
Unless you're over 80 or 60.
I mean, I'm talking about without any, vaccine or pseudo vaccine, whatever the hell. There was some scuttle about I think it was Fauci maybe or somebody who said, well, we recommend that you get it anyway because of the variants. And then they come out with stories that said there's over 1,000. I don't remember. It was an astronomical number.
There's at least one variant. Variants. There's at least one variant from every country right now.
Right. And like soon it'll be one from every area code, and soon it'll be one from every county or municipality or whatever, you know.
And it's quite possible that Fauci did say this, because I believe that he has said everything at least once. And then backtracked a week later, because what he does is he says something like, double mask or wear a face shield or, masks aren't necessary. And then the CDC changes their guidelines, or whatever news program that he watches, they start to change their tune. And then he comes back out and he's like, yeah, you know what? I've been doing some thinking about that and all, and it might make sense to double mask. Prime example. A year ago, there was a conspiracy theory that was floating about that this COVID-19 did not, in fact, start in a lab. It started from a bat and or a pangolin, and it was moved to the wet market, and that's where it spread in China.
Right.
The Trump narrative was that no. This was started in the lab. This was completely started in the lab by humans, and it got out. You're fired. And everyone was saying no. Tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory. You guys are nuts. It came from a damn bat. Go back to your MAGA country. Now, and then of course 3 weeks ago, there was the Rand Paul Fauci rabble debate where Rand was grilling this guy. He's like, no, gain the function. Were you actually funding the lab in Wuhan? This and that. And Fauci was like, nah, you are mistaken. You are insulting me. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it?
Turns out
2 days later, the CDC dropped their guidance on the mask policy. 2 days later. What the hell happened there? And then a week later, Fauci comes out and he's saying, now what is he saying? It's a possibility that it was, might have been spread from, a lab somewhere. We need to do the research. We need to figure this out because it's very important that we get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
This guy, man, guy. How can you still trust this guy, people?
No, it's Anthony Fauci. That's the correct pronunciation.
He has said everything once. He's backtracked on everything once. He says everything. How can you believe anything that's coming out of this guy's mouth? And don't tell me science changes.
No, I haven't looked it up, but I've seen a couple of memes with an ancient Anthony Fauci. Where
you mean back when he was screwing around with AIDS?
Yeah,
HIV?
He was a proponent of the AZT, which
that killed people.
So many people suffered from.
That's what was killing people. It wasn't the damn AIDS. It was the AZT was killing them.
Yeah.
And it was who was backing it? Who was all about that? Fauci.
Anthony Fauci.
What's he doing now?
Yeah, weird. Oh,
well, here
it's almost as if a person gets into power and then begins to abuse it for their whole life.
Let's talk about one of the individuals, a virologist, Nobel-winning prize virologist, who actually was talking about the Wuhan spread back a year ago.
Okay.
And he was immediately buried. No one would deal with this guy anymore. No one would have him on there. They wouldn't interview him. They wouldn't talk to this guy. They tinfoil hat.
Yep.
Conspiracy nut. We don't want to deal with this guy anymore. His name is Luc Montagnier, French guy. While it is understood that the virus, all right. So he made this prediction a year ago, and now people are changing their tune. You got mainstream media is changing the tune. For what? For why? What happened? This guy is saying exactly what mainstream media is saying and what they damned him for a year ago. Now he's saying something in an interview. A very long interview that I haven't watched completely because I have it's subtitled.
Sure.
But he has another realization that I think is going to see the light of day one day. Here it is. While it is understood that viruses mutate, causing variants. I'm sure you've heard of the variants.
Yep.
That's all they talk about these days.
Well, and that's like for our listeners, a variant is just like how there's a new sort of version of the flu.
It's a mutation.
It just mutates, right? Yeah.
So all right, why is this all important, though? So French biologist and Nobel Prize winner Luc Montagnier contends that is, quote, It is the vaccinations that is creating the variants.
Wait, read that again. It's the vaccinations?
The vaccination is causing the variants, and it only makes sense. Otherwise, this everyone would have got a herd immunity, and Corona probably would have just kind of gone away, and you wouldn't have seen it until next fall, during flu season. The 2008 Nobel laureate made the explosive comments as part of a larger interview with Pierre, I can't say his last name, a French reporter, of Hold Up Media earlier this month. The clip was exclusively translated for RAIR Foundation, which is the website that I'm getting this for, and is quite damning for the agenda-driven left-wing establishment. As reported in April of last year, Professor Montagnier presented a powerful case that the coronavirus was created in a lab, and he was damned for it, of course. His comments at the time offended the left-wing establishment so much that they aggressively attempted to discredit his statement. Now, the media is backpedaling on the origin of the coronavirus after prominent scientists called for further scrutiny. So this is gonna see the light of day, I can tell you.
That's an amazing thing for him to say. 603-283-6160. More coming up.
Carl Wattner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Wattner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
As a police officer, I constantly live in fear that I might be filmed brutalizing a civilian. It's something you know from the time you're a cadet. The slightest civil rights infraction in front of anyone who's looking, and the next thing you know, you're surrounded by cameras and trending on Twitter. No cop should have to worry about that. Practically every precinct I know has somebody serving desk duty just for acting on deeply rooted prejudices when somebody had a recording device on them. It happened to my partner, and it even happened to our own captain. One day he's just kicking an unarmed pedestrian in the ribs when all of a sudden people with cameras are everywhere, and then they just start shooting what he was doing, all 6 minutes of it. I can't help but think sometimes that could have been me ending up at that desk job. You never know which day of total impunity will be your last, but for a cop, that's just our daily reality.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love,
and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that is on your mind. The telephone number to do so is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
And it's Conan.
You can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after Porcupine Freedom Festival, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. I can't think of a better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving people in the Shire. You can do all sorts of things, but you can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. If you're planning an event, you want to connect with other people and let them know. You can also connect with other attendees via the unofficial Telegram chat and the unofficial forum, which are all found at forkfest.party. Again, July 4th, it's June 28th through July 4th, forkfest.party. I hope to see you there. Come party with the captain. So, Conan, you've been telling us about this virologist, this French guy, Nobel Prize winner, Professor Luc, I'm going to butcher the name too, Montagnier, I believe. Montagnier, if you're
English, it's Montagnier. But Frenchmen, they pronounce that, I think it's on the end there.
The headline is, he explains how COVID-19 vaccines are creating the variants. And the actual quote from him that they've got highlighted here is, and this is just some other article I brought up because I searched it, it is the vaccination that is creating the variants, according to this Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah, it should, and this is not just the Rona. This is not just the COOF. This is pretty much every vaccination. I've heard this before. You're not supposed to vaccinate during a outbreak because you're not going to be able to squash it the same way you when you're taking penicillin. Or antibiotics, and you have to use the entire. You have to do it for the entire 2 weeks. Right. If you allow that bacteria to survive, just a little trace amount of it, it'll come back even stronger. So you have to knock it out completely the first time, and that's kind of the way this is working. It's not knocking it out of the system, out of the community completely, and so you have little strains of it that are still floating around, and then they start mutating and becoming something completely different. Now, so let's go on with the professor here.
Sure.
Basically, he was damned. He was thrown under the bus a whole year ago. No one wanted to talk to him, and now it seems like everything he was talking about a year ago, everyone's changing their tune. So I'm going to start listening to this guy a little more. He was right a year ago. Now, what he's saying is it might not be correct, but I am going to give him more credit than I have the mainstream media who's been lying to me all year.
Well, and this
or Fauci, who backtracks every second of the day.
Right. This is an example of what natural authority looks like, right? There's a couple of definitions of authority. We all know the fear-ruling and violence mongers that are called authority. We refer to them as governments. commonly here on this show, because that's all they do. They make things up and tell you what to do, and they enforce those things with violence. That is one form of authority. There's another form of authority, and that is somebody who is an expert on a subject. He is an authority on this particular topic.
Correct.
Right?
And sadly, too many of these guys are being squashed all year long. Their YouTube channels have been taken down. Their Twitter channel forums have been taken down. Why? Because they aren't preaching the gospel. They're not preaching. They're going against the what has been considered safe for us. And so what they say is unsafe, and it's going to get people killed if you follow this. Oh my God, you're going to start injecting bleach next thing you know it. Which that, I don't remember if you were around when that blew up.
Tide Pods.
So Professor Montagnier referred to the vaccination program for the coronavirus as an, quote, unacceptable mistake. Mass vaccinations are a scientific error as well as a medical error, he said. It is an unacceptable mistake. The history books will show that, because it is the vaccination that is creating the variants. The prominent virologist explained that there are, quote, there are antibodies created by the vaccine, forcing the virus to either find another solution or die. This is where the variants are created. It is the variants that are a production and a result from the vaccination. And this is why Professor Montagnier said that epidemiologists know but are silent about the phenomenon known as antibody-dependent enhancement, ADE. In the articles that mention ADE, the concerns expressed by Professor Montagnier are dismissed. Scientists say that ADE is pretty much a non-issue with COVID-19 vaccines, but why COVID-19 vaccines, whereas this is something that is established everywhere else, antibody-dependent enhancement.
And how could they know that? It hasn't been even through clinical trials.
I don't even know if they've had this. Yeah, exactly. So what has it been 6 months now?
Yeah.
Where are your long-term studies?
Yeah. Where's your peer-reviewed evidence?
The professor explained that the trend is happening in each country where the curve of vaccination is followed by the curve of deaths. The Nobel laureate's point is emphasized by information revealed in an open letter from a long list of medical doctors to the European Medicines Agency. The letter stated in part that, quote, there have been numerous media reports from around the world of care homes being struck by COVID-19 within days of vaccinations of residents. And yeah, I remember when the AstraZeneca was tested, I think it was Sweden or Norway.
Yeah.
They tested on like 80 old people, and they like all died.
Yeah.
Like the next day, like that week. But you don't hear that unless you watch BitChute, unless you're getting your news from alternative media, because you're not going to see that on the big stream.
Certainly not on your regular television channels by any stretch of the imagination.
Here's from the actual, a piece taken from the actual interview. He was asked, should we be vaccinating during a pandemic? His response, it's unthinkable. They're silent. Many people know this. Epidemiologists know it. It is the antibodies produced by the virus that enable an infection to become stronger. It's what we call antibody-dependent enhancement, which means antibodies favor a certain infection. The antibody attaches to the virus. From that moment, it has the receptors, the antibodies. We have them in the macrophage, etc. It pokes the virus, and not accidentally, but because of the fact that they are linked to the antibodies. It is clear that the new variant are created by antibody-mediated selection due to the vaccination. End quote. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. It seems kind of makes sense, especially if you compare it to, say, something like antibiotics or penicillin, where if you don't use the correct amount and knock it out, you will allow it to grow stronger and create a nuisance later on down the road.
Is there more in this particular article that you have?
Not this one, no. Okay. Except the full translation. What am I looking for? From this segment. I haven't watched the whole video yet. Yeah. I've only watched the 2-minute video of this guy talking.
I just, during the break, I looked this up myself, hoping to find the article you were referring to, but I found a different article. This article adds something that's not in yours, and it says, Professor Luc Montagnier, or however you pronounce his name, continued to say that he is doing his own experiments with those who become infected with the coronavirus after getting the vaccine. He says, quote, I will show you that they are creating the variants that are resistant to the vaccine, unquote.
Correct. He's
going to prove it.
And you can only do it until after the effect, which is what we're dealing with right now, the fallout.
Yep.
So yeah, keep your eyes on this guy.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live. Final segment on the way.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Only 2 years to flatten the curve, Conan.
Oh, my God.
It's already
It's getting close to 2 years.
I mean,
but finally, at least some of these states are opening back up, like 100% opening back up, dropping their silly mask policies and whatnot. But we were talking during the break. I am so concerned with all the people who have gotten the jab. We don't know where this is going to be in 10 years. We don't know what this is going to lead to. This is brand spanking new. This is experimental. You're all guinea pigs. This hasn't been tested on humans before.
Right. Contrary to what most folks believe, the FDA has not passed this. It has granted it temporary emergency status. So that means they didn't have to go through all the rigmarole and testing and whatever that they usually require.
They didn't even have to test it on animals first.
Right.
They went straight to humans. They say that they're testing on animals as we speak.
Right.
As well as you human guinea pigs, but this is insane.
We'll talk more, and you have a story to share that I want you to share. But first, I need to say thank you to somebody calling themselves Reasonable Voice. They are a silver level amplifier here at Free Talk Live. What does that mean? Well, that means Reasonable Voice went to amp.freetalklive.com and signed up to become an amplifier. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And so they contribute $5 a month. You can contribute more. There's a couple different levels, and there's some cool perks that you get for contributing. But where does this money go? It goes to get this radio program onto more radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently on somewhere around 200 radio stations. We could be on 250. We could be on 300. We could be on more radio stations. It's all up to you. So please consider becoming an amplifier over at amp.freetalklive.com. And thank you again, Reasonable Voice, for your continued contribution. We appreciate it.
Now, we've hinted at this phenomenon before, and I think it might have even been covered in depth, but I've never gotten the opportunity, even though I've brought this particular article to the show, but to put it into perspective, because to remind me that I actually had this article at hand, I was talking to my ex the other day, and and by the way, I'm one of those guys who's can get along with his with his ex-girlfriends, except one. There's only one that I can't. But she's talking about what she did that day. She says she went to the salon to get her nails did.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there all masked up. Everyone was masked. The attendant was masked, and she's sitting there. And I guess it was bring your baby to work day.
Okay.
Because there was an infant, the salonist, what are they? The manicurist's son, a toddler, not even a toddler, but it's still an infant, but probably less than a year old, in the carriage over there. And of course, what do you do when you see a kid and you want to make the kid smile? She pulls her mask down. And she does the goo-goo smile face at the kid.
Yeah.
And immediately, this kid turns to tears and starts wailing. And it was like, oh my God. And the manicurist was like, oh, it's something about the mask, this and that. There was a language barrier, so it wasn't really understood what was being communicated. But and she just told me kind of offhand, and I heard this and I'm like, oh my God. This kid sounds to me like this kid hasn't seen human faces, or maybe at least outside human faces. Maybe family is all right, but probably hasn't seen a human face its whole life.
Yeah, that is disturbing.
And all of a sudden, another human being, an adult, and she's a good-looking girl too, so it's not like she's ugly or something, smiles at this kid, and the kid doesn't know what the hell it just saw. For all it knows, this woman over here wants to eat him.
Right.
A simple smile brought him to tears, and I thought about that. It's like, this coof has screwed up our economy so badly and has messed so many things up. But no one thinks about the long-term effects of the toddlers, of the infants, of what these masks have done to them. This is crucial that they learn how to understand what expressions mean in these early months.
A big majority of human communication is facial expression. That's why, we here on Free Talk Live, as they say, we have voices for radio. Right, we're not, the most attractive people in the world.
I'm not.
I'm just saying that but yet people tune in and watch. Why do they do that? Because a lot of communication is facial expression, and some people need to have that connection. And so we do stream this live, of course, over at lrn.fm and stream.freetalklive.com. I believe go to freetalklive.com. You can find our cams.
I enjoy I enjoy being able to see the people who are talking. I like it,
Yeah.
but I am an avid audiobook podcast listener, so I can tolerate just basically hearing voices in my head. But I like to see somebody.
Right, but if you're anything like me, when you do that, you're also imagining somebody. Right, you're imagining.
Oh, yeah,
you're hearing whether or not they're, are they talking up? Are they talking down? Are they being smooth?
And then of course you've been listening to it for the last 2 years, and then you finally see a picture of him, and you're like, that's not who I've been listening to for 3 years.
That's Conan. Wow, that's the captain. Wow, he doesn't look anything like his voice.
It happens all the time.
So I'm also concerned about the infants who aren't seeing, human faces and like freaking out, but also all of the children. I mean, even up to, these kids are being raised not only not seeing the human face and having to communicate without normal human facial expression, but they're also being conditioned in ways that children have not been conditioned before.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least in a method, a style, if you will, that hasn't been done, which is to say that for the first time, the government can just say, there's a danger of something in your health, close everything down.
I have no doubt there'll be another one.
And they think,
coming up this fall.
Because it happened when they were kids, when it happens again when they're, either older children or in their teens or even adults. Right?
It's like the chime. It's like what's the study where Pavlov's dogs.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. So you're going to hear that chime going off, and they're all going to go immediately into panic mode.
Yep.
And duck and cover,
and they're going to go, oh yeah, this is what happened to us when we were kids. I remember this. We know how to do this, and it's just going to be an automated reaction to it instead of a thoughtful process.
It's so sad. What is possible? What is probable to come during our lifetimes, and of course, from exactly the people you have indicated, the people who have been conditioned to believe and they've just been drinking all this Kool-Aid since day one, and now they are even more obedient little zombies than they were before all this nonsense happened. This from the article. Infants and toddlers watch our faces for important clues about language and social situations. That is why it is so important that they can see our faces without anything getting in the way. For instance, a face mask that covers a mouth and nose. But what happens when babies can't see half of our faces or mouths, cheeks, noses in everyday situations? This woman, Erin Vollmer of Therapy Work, says that babies learn through watching and modeling. They copy what the adults do around them. When they can't see our faces, it's hard for babies to learn. Focusing on facial expressions and facial movement is highly important when developing mirror neurons and ultimately speech and language skills. That's why it is important that an infant see the face of their communicative partner when developing early speech, says this doctor. And later on in life, you can listen to audiobooks when you've actually figured out how to communicate, how to have conversations with your fellow human being. But until then, these first months are very important. Your actual brain is being built during these months.
Right. And children learn language very early. And in fact, children can learn multiple languages when they begin learning their first language. Much easier than an adult can learn a second language or third language, for that matter.
You're set in your ways by then.
Like your brain is ready and willing to absorb this new information when you're a child because you're still forming all of these things.
It's like working with clay.
Right. Yes. And so
you and I, we're hard diamonds right now.
We definitely are. But your brain is more spongy. You're more receptive to soaking up the knowledge when you're younger. And so it's easier to teach children.
And actually building brand new brain neurons as well.
Right.
So this is who knows what this is going to lead to. You hear all of the academics, talking about how we need pre-K to be part of the
pre-K
indoctrinations.
Yeah,
camp.
and then like a couple years after high school too.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that one. But
yeah. Because, government isn't teaching your children enough in the 12 years they hold them captive that now they need another 1 year in the front and 2 in the back.
Academics, where are the academics at on this one? Why aren't they complaining about these masks?
We're out of time. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you missed any of the show, visit our archives at freetalklive.com. Thanks and peace.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear